It was a 911 call that stopped Paulding County firefighters and paramedics in their tracks. A 29-year-old down in full cardiac arrest.
Yeah, what happened earned paramedics from Metro Atlanta Ambulance Service a Medical Call of the Year award for their 16-county region. The Fox Medical team's Beth Galvin is here now with a pretty incredible story behind this CPR save.
And Tanae and Tom, I think this story will give you chills because it was really a team effort, because less than 10% of people who have a cardiac arrest outside the hospital survive. And without these paramedics and these firefighters and his fiance, who had never been trained in CPR, Daniel Sherrod knows that he would not have lived to tell his story.
Paulding County 911, the address to your emergency.
The call came in December 9th.
It's humbling, I guess would be the right word.
Daniel Sherrod,
29 years old,
doesn't remember the moment his heart stopped.
I had suffered a cardiac arrest and essentially had died.
Has he ever had any history of anything like this happening?
No. It feels like an eternity. Time stops.
Paulding County beer distributor and his fiancee, Gabrielle Hall, were about to call it a night.
Brendan was laying in bed playing on his phone, and before I knew it, his phone was on the floor, and I could just tell something wasn't right. I screamed for my mom, who came running upstairs.
She dialed 911.
I don't do good with like the medical stuff. It was really fight or flight.
A couple of miles away,
We got the call as a 29-year-old down and unconscious.
paramedic Bill Walthour, a 30-year veteran, was working with Casey Rollins, who was new to Metro Atlanta Ambulance Service.
I haven't done a whole lot of tough calls like that before, so that was my first cardiac arrest.
Sherrod had collapsed on the bed.
You know, when we teach CPR, you do CPR to somebody on the floor because you need the hard surface.
He's like a 300-pound man.
Well, he was on the floor.
So the 911 operator began talking Gabrielle through how to perform CPR.
Keep doing that, Gabrielle. You're doing really good, okay?
Lieutenant Matt Clodfelter and his crew from Paulding County Fire Department Station 3 arrived first, 8 minutes in.
Got him on the floor, started doing compressions on him.
Another firefighter grabbed an AED off their truck.
AED goes on him, says shock advised. We shocked him, continued CPR, kept doing CPR.
They shocked again. They looked up at me and Bill and said we've got pulses, and I was like, all right, let's start moving.
Walthour and Rollins started medication to stabilize Sherrod's heart.
When we have somebody young like that, we know we've got a viable patient. Time is the most important thing we had.
At the ER,
It was like, let's go, let's get him in.
doctors placed Daniel on life support. Then his kidneys began shutting down and pneumonia set in as they waited.
The doctors try to prepare you for worst case scenario.
Because less than 10% of people who go into cardiac arrest outside of a hospital survive. But 7 days later, Daniel Sherrod woke up.
Doctor said that I had less than 10% chance of surviving, and here I am.
We're very grateful.
It gives you a good rush.
Because that was one of our big things was, is he going to be okay? Is he going to make it?
It was awesome knowing that, I was a part of it.
And later this year,
We were already close, but being brought closer like this.
Daniel and Gabrielle are getting married. And you know how people sometimes have doubts? Not this guy.
I know who saved my life. I know who's been there for me. I know who I love. So there's no question in my mind.
And Gabrielle credits that 911 operator with helping her keep her fiance alive, because without CPR, this story would have definitely turned out very differently. And she plans to take a CPR course now once things settle down. And Daniel now has a defibrillator in his chest, so hopefully this will not happen again. But it's really interesting. She had no training, but her sister is an ICU nurse. And so she said, it just all came back to me, and I started thinking, what would she do? What would she do?
Yeah, but 29 years old to have a heart attack.
Absolutely.
Blows your mind.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you, Beth.
Thanks, Beth.